Blancpain Le Brassus workshop has been in the family, so to speak, since 1860, when Louis Elisée Piguet founded as an abandoned mill above Le Brassus and made it one of his workshops for Grand Complication. That tradition continues today because Grand Complications are what are made here in one of the two facilities that Blancpain has in the Vallée de Joux. The main workshops are in Le Sentier. But here in Le Brassus, entirely Grand Complications are the subject matter. Today we're going to follow the construction and assembly of the Carrousel Minute Repeater. There are several stages we're going to see. We're going to see engraving of components. We're going to see the hand finishing one by one of the components. And of course the assembly, which is done in two stages. So up the stairs we go to the workshops. I'm at the workbench of Georges Berset, who has been with Blancpain for more than 20 years. He's working on the decoration of the oscillating weight for the minute repeater Carrousel. Some interesting dimensions to what he's doing. At the moment, he's doing a polish work with pegwood to get just the right sheen on the edge of the oscillating weight. This work requires almost infinite patience because this is polishing work being done with wood. Before, on other parts of the oscillating weight, he did anglage with a file. And the most delicate part of that work is on the interior angles, which the French call an angle rentrant. This is finishing work being applied to the bridge for the carousel of the minute repeater Carrousel. What we are seeing is what's called anglage à lime, hand filing. There's a big difference between hand filing, which is the traditional way of applying anglage, and filing which is done elsewhere with an electric tool. This is much finer and respects ancient watchmaking craft. She is going to be decorating every side of this bridge for the Carrousel Minute Repeater. This is the Carrousel bridge itself. She's doing the anglage à lime now, but she also applied perlage to the other side of the bridge. Interestingly, the side of the bridge that you'll never see. There are many steps to the finishing of the hammers for the minute repeater. At the moment, she is working on flattening the edges. There have been several steps in this process as well, involving some very, very fine sandpaper to flatten the edge. Now she is working with pegwood. Still to come is going to be anglage on the sides and applying a polymiroir or mirror finish to the flat surfaces of the hammers. We are at the workbench of Marie-Laure Tabarèche, who is a decorated engraver. She has won what many would call the ultimate prize for this kind of artistry, the Meilleur Ouvrier de France. There's a competition which the French hold every year. She won the competition 2 years back and received her award from Nicolas Sarkozy himself in the Élysée Palace. A symbol of the Meilleur Ouvrier de France is the tricolore on the collar. Only someone who has been accorded this award is permitted to wear that collar decoration. Marie-Laure is just starting on the decoration of this particular bridge. Here we can see the design that ultimately she is going to create on the bridge. The engraving that Marie-Laure is doing on the bridges of the minute repeater requires at least a full day of work for each and every bridge. The work is painstaking in the extreme. There is a huge difference between artistry with a paint and a brush on a canvas and artistry done with a file and with an awl on metal. When engraving is being done on a component in metal, there is no room for error. This is the assembly stage for the Carrousel Minute Repeater. Up until now, the components have been decorated upstairs, engraved downstairs, and now it's time to bring them all together. There are several steps now in the process of assembly. One watchmaker is going to be assembling the watch beginning to end. At the moment, he's working on the gear train of the watch from the side that you would see through the clear case back. The carousel itself is in front of him in its cage, running and undergoing testing. When the gear train assembly has been completed, the minute repeater side of the watch, which goes on the other side of the movement, will be assembled. Then after all of that's done, the watch will be disassembled, a final cleaning will be applied, the watch reassembled and then tested before it's cased up and delivered. These are the components for the minute repeater side of the movement. The very important step that's going to follow will be the adjusting for the sound. This style of minute repeater is what's called a cathedral gong. A gong which is a turn and a half in length. A standard minute repeater would be 1 turn in length. The extra length brings added richness to the sound. Work has now progressed to where the watchmaker is going to add the carousel to the movement. The carousel has been lifted from the movement where its regulation was tested and verified, and now it's time to bring it to the watch. There are several stages to go through. The carousel is first going to be placed into a holder and then actually lifted up into the watch where it can be attached firmly. The next stage is going to be the application of some lubrication, and then the watchmaker will be able to bring the carousel to life and verify that it's running correctly now that it's been installed into the movement.